Right. So let's start the first drawing for week 3. I'm in 1108, CAD 1108's course here. So if I scroll down, week 2 we've completed. So week 3 is going to start with these objects here to draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That looks right. 9 of those. They'll all be on the inch template that we've created. So all we have to do is to start these. Let's use our template. But let me just open the assignment. Hmm. We've got the base plate. Going to use our inch template. Upload the DWG and the PDF of this. Don't include dimensions. We're going to draw it full 1-to-1 full scale. So the resources we have for this will be a video once I get done uploading it and the dimension. This is essentially what that PDF has, is just these dimensions. So I'll open this. I've already saved a copy of that to have up on my screen. If I can open I'm not sure. There it is. It's weird. Okay. I've already got a copy of this. It's my base plate dimensions. I've already downloaded. There's mine. I'll have this up on my other screen. So we'll recreate this. When we turn it in, it should look like this. No dimensions. Name's correct. Date. Got it. All right, let's do this. So I'm going to go to CAD, open my template. My personalized template lives here. Pull yours up. This is the one that I've been using for this, for me. Open it. There it is. Looks correct. Just has the A size. Nothing in model space. Blank slate to start with. It's got a page set up. It should have, yep, my text style is correct. So that's really the only formatting we've done as far as any text formatting, is just that one simple text size. So I'm going to save this as my drawing name. I drive down to the folder where we're in week 3. This one's going to be the CAD 1108 base plate. And whether you use caps or not in your file savings doesn't matter. There may be a standard somewhere, but there really isn't like an ASME standard on my file name, whether it's caps or not. It's totally up to you. Sometimes I use this kind of strategy in my file naming where I use a mix and I don't and I don't just have a bunch of spaces. Yeah, your IT people would tell you your files are a little bit safer, like sharing and if they don't have just empty spaces in their file name, right? So this is just CAD 1108 dash baseplate. There is no like extra characters or spaces that could corrupt a file if you were sharing it. Anyway, that's maybe a little IT knowledge there. So I'm going to say save. So that's why I kind of name things the way I do, but I try to eliminate spaces. You'll see underscore used a lot for a hyphen or to create a space between words. Sometimes we'll use underscore, like I could have done that here. Sorry, it makes me go into this thinking about this, but what I would use an underscore like this. You see that? I feel like when I see files like that, I'll know that somebody's concerned about uh, having a file go corrupt with spaces in it. But anyway, I use caps and no caps to differentiate, make it more legible and readable. Okay, so I give you these things advice because I feel like a lot of us know this already, and some of us don't. Some of us haven't worked with a bunch of file structures to know what can cause problems and what can't. So I'll drop any information I have. Let me let you know here. So I'm going to save this. Oh, it's a DWT. So the only thing I did wrong is I saved it as a DWT. That's why I got that indicator. So let me save that again. Technically, I don't need another DWT. I wanted to create a DWG from that. So if this ever happens to you, it's just a matter of I should have changed the file format. So I'm going to the same place. See, it was a DWT file that I saved. Really, I wanted this name, but I wanted it to be a DWG. So I'll just resave it as this. It's that name, DWG. Yes, save. The only difference is now I have both those files. So really, if I'm doing good cleanup managing here, I would say I accidentally did that wrong. And so I would open up my file structure. I would look for that one DWT. There it is, actually. It's easy for me to identify with that icon. This is the one that I mislabeled. So I'm just going to delete this while I'm thinking about it. Yep, delete it. Okay. What I really wanted was the CAD base plate as a DWG file. Um, I should have wrote in class on mine. So I could rename that. In order to rename something, like if you have a file open, it's not going to let me rename it while it's open. But let's say I didn't love the name of this and I would just like to rename it. Well, I can do that. Let me just close the file. I know where it is. So this is a little bit more file management structure. Like mistakes happen. I didn't love the name that I have because it's going to be mixed up with other ones maybe. So I'm not going to know this one specifically. So I'm going to actually go in here and just do a file rename on that one. So here's my CAD base plate. What I wanted for my sake, this would have probably been fine for you. For me, I'm going to call this in class. It's just it's how I keep track of what I've done in class. So if I just rename it that, it'll absolutely rename it from any file management dialog box just because I don't have it open. I'll get an error if I try to do this and it's open in CAD. So there we go. Now I'll actually find that one. Let's go open it. Open files. We're week 3. I'm looking for a drawing, so I can't see it here because my browser set up to look for DWT just based off the last thing I opened, probably. So here's my drawing. Oh, there's all my drawings show up now. And I'm looking for the one that's base plate in class. There it is. Open it. So now it has the name that I'm happy with, and it's the format that I want. Okay, so excellent. Let's start drawing this thing. I'm not going to worry about, I mean, my viewport looks like it's zoned in on the X and Y. I see the green and red. That's fine. Let's just go draw anywhere in here. I've got my this thing up on screen still. So I could approach this a lot of different ways. I'm just going to draw the outer profile, and then I'm going to probably come in and put the detail hole features. Just the way I see it, I could start with the circles and then draw around it, but I feel like I'm going to lock in the outer profile first. We kind of did that on the last drawing. That's usually my method. So I'm on the visible object layer, not through the paper space. I'm actually just in the model space, drawn 1-to-1. Here we go. I could use a polyline here, or I could use a line and join it all. I think that's what we did last time, so I'll just continue to use a line here. I'm going to start in the bottom left corner of that, not for any reason other than a lot of my dimensions come from there. Like this is like a word I'll throw at you, a datum. I'm kind of establishing this point on this object of it's got a lot of controls here. Like a lot of dimensions are going to come from this point. So in the future, sometimes where I'm dimensioning from, it specifies its importance a little bit. Obviously, I'm pulling also data from here. So I definitely have multiple datums or places where I'm establishing where to pull dimensions from. Eventually, when we get into dimensioning, we'll talk about some of the rules of that. But for right now, I'm going to start drawing here, and I can either start drawing this way, or I could start drawing this way. And I just have to kind of draw from the data I'm given. So if I hit a roadblock, I might just go the other direction. And what I mean by that is like say I come in here with a line, and I'm going to just start drawing this maybe across the bottom. So if I'm looking at my paper, I just click the point, any point, and it's going to be this direction. This is a good use of like orthographic mode, F8. I want this to be perfectly horizontal on this grid. So maybe I'll just tap on F8. That puts on ortho mode. This little thing right here is ortho mode. If I untoggle it, it kind of goes gray here, like it's giving me freedom. F8 locks me in. So now I'm going to draw perfectly straight and horizontal at 5.5 inches. So 5.5. And then from there, it goes up. I have it that it goes up 2 inches. So 2, enter. And then I'd have to take off F8. I have it at a slant going up this way. I have no like measurement. I have no degrees that is. So really, I have no way to know how far this goes up or what degree it would be at. So I'm kind of at what I call roadblock. I'm at kind of a dead end. I went this way on the object and I can't, from the dimensions I'm given, I can't keep drawing. So I'm going to escape. And then I'll go back the other direction. So let's see. I'll pick my line command again. I could have just hit enter to get back into it, but I just clicked it up there. I'm going to go lock in on this endpoint grip. I'm going to draw up. I can put on F8 again if I need to. Draw up. There. I was kind of looking for my polar tracking. I didn't have it toggled on, so my polar tracking helps some of those green rays show up and is going to lock me into whatever degrees I have selected. I have a pretty fine polar tracking setting, like 10, 20, 30s. That's why I get a lot of like those green rays show up every time I hit one of those increments that I'm polar tracking to, which 0 and 90 are some of those. But if that's too many, you could, if I go to 90, this is as coarse as I can get. There, I'm picking up no tracking until I hit a 90 degree or 180 or 0 essentially. So I usually am using, I mean, 30, 60s, and 90s are common. I'm often changing this, especially based on the geometry that I'm drawing. But as a rule of thumb, this is more obviously more coarse. These are way more fine. If I go to this one, I'm going to get every 5 degrees, I get something I could technically snap to. But that gets to be a little bit joggy, just the way. So I might just, I don't know. This will be fine for right now. So I'm straight up and down. It's one reason that prevent when I use this kind of mode, I can kind of like I don't use ortho mode as much when I'm using that polar tracking setting. It's just that here's what's annoying is when I use ortho mode and I jump in and out of ortho mode, it like turns off my polar tracking. So I feel like that's the reason why I'm more of I keep my polar tracking on more than off, and I use my polar tracking as kind of my ortho mode in a way, right? So just a side note, ortho mode just seems to like bypass your polar tracking, turns it on and off, and so that's kind of annoying. So anyway, up this way, we're gonna go up 4 inches, four. And it says I go across 4 1/4. And now I've got 2 points. So now I just came the other direction and I got to here and I came that direction at first. So I feel like I should be safe to like lock these together. So I'm going to choose that point and then I'm going to escape this line command. So I wasn't able to like solve that problem until I came from the other direction and then it locked me on these 2 points. And then as long as I follow the dimensions, I should be pretty close. Yeah. We'll double check. Excellent. Escape the check. This isn't joined. These are all single line segments. If I would have used polyline command, this would have naturally joined into one unit, so one polygon. So I can go ahead and join that. I showed you this before. I think it's something good to refresh and redo. Join. I'm just going to select everything, see if I can. It's all selected. Right click, press enter. Was it all closed? Yeah. So if it didn't close on you, if you can't just do a single selection now, you'll know that it wasn't, your points were not aligned. That's really hard to see. You could zoom in, zoom out, but with a simple shape like this, I could just redraw it. But yeah, so this is good. We have 2 circles, 3 circles actually. So up here we have a circle that's 1 inch in diameter, 1 inch circle, and it's 2.5 inches up, and it's 1 inch over. So I kind of need to know that's the coordinate points essentially, or not coordinate points, but that's the value, linear and horizontal on where the center point of that is. 2.5 inches up and 1 inch over will lock me in here. So I can kind of do what I like. There's like, it depends on what you're liking here, but I'll continue to use some of my method is like, I know it's going to be a circle command up here, 2.5 and 1 inch over. So I can grab my circle command. The only problem is it's going to want me to specify that center point first. And I don't have it. Like I think I can like go up this way and toggle and say it's 2.5 inches over, but then it's going to lock me in as that being the center point. So it works a little different than how I do lines. This one might be a good candidate for actually building some construction work and establishing a place that's already, uh, I have a line with an endpoint right here that I can use as the circle center. So this is a good candidate for some construction work. So I'm going to go to my construction layer and turn it on. Mine was turned off, so I turned mine on. What else do I have off? I have dimensions off. That's okay. And yeah, I think so. So what I'll do is I'll just do the same thing with a line. I will kind of use my polar tracking a little bit this way. Like I'll just pull up and I'll say I need to go up 2.5. So I haven't clicked anything. I've just locked in on the endpoint to be able to target it and then to kind of increase values as I pull in that direction. So that's how I get up here to 2.5, but I don't really drop a line here. Like I say, you could just draw a line over it. It wouldn't be wrong. It's just my workflow is generally just minimizing how many overlapping lines I have. So, and then it's 1 inch over in this direction, right? 1 inch. So it wouldn't have been wrong if you would have drawn a line like this up to here and then drawn over like that. That would be totally fine if I had a line structure like that that was on a different layer. It's totally fine. So if that works for you, that's fine. I'm going to undo that and just use the one line I placed. So this is now 2.5 inches up and 1 inch over. That's the end point of this is that grip is going to be the center of my circle. So now I can grab the circle. If I'm thinking about I want to draw my circle on a visible object layer. Circle by center radius, that's fine. The dimension was given diameter. It's a 1 inch diameter, is that right? I think so. Right here. Yeah, 1 inch in diameter. Okay. Technically, I have two of them, so two of them that are 1 inch, but I don't have the other place set up yet. So I'll just focus on this one. This is radius of I'm using a center radius circle, but it's okay because I can just go D for diameter and then I can hit that it's 1 inch. So that was I selected that the endpoint as the center, then I entered D for diameter, and then I entered 1. And that's just because I had picked the center radius circle selection. So now I need the other one over here. So there's the other one is like 3 inches over and an inch and a half up. So I'll do the same thing where I'm coming over to construction layer. I'm going to grab a line. It's in this direction. The center of it's going to be 3 inches, not 5, 3. That puts me over to the 3 inch area. And then it's going to be up what? 1.5. And then I escape this command. That's the center point of the other circle. Actually, of both. Those are concentric. So it goes back to this the idea of the center marks are extended well past both. It kind of infers that these two centers are concentric. They share the same center point. So with that in mind, I have a 2 inch diameter one and a 1 inch diameter one. So the 1 inch diameter one, I already have one on my paper, so I could just copy it. I could choose copy, choose whatever I want to copy. I think I didn't actually get that selected. When I move back and forth from program from one screen to the other, you have to usually click in here to actually get it to be active. So copy. Now it's selecting. Right click or press enter. I want the center base point, and I'm going to move it over to here. Excellent. I'm just going to do another circle from the same center point. They're concentric, and it's out to 2 inches. I'm a center radius, so I'm going to say diameter D, enter 2, enter. And that's a 2 inch center. The only problem was I was on the construction layer when I drew it. So let's just push that to the other layer. And push this to hidden visible. Yes, good. Okay. Now the next thing, that's almost done except for just my center line. So I'm just about done. I want to show you one little trick here is that I'm going to undo what I just did. And I push that to the layer with my properties tab. That's totally fine. I could use my properties drop down or my layer drop down to push it. And I could use my properties tab to push it. But let me show you one more way to push this thing. So I'm going to go back until this thing's on the wrong layer. There it is. So there's where it was on the wrong layer. Here's another cool thing that's on the home menu. Way over here, as I go past the layers, past the block. Hey, what's cool is we've already like learned the drawing palette. We've learned some of the modify commands, most of them, like 75% of them. We've kind of shown that this is a quick access to some annotation, but the annotated tab is a little bit more robust, and I use it more. Layers is where we've been using layers. Blocks, we just did that mini little block of the template. So we've kind of used these palettes. This is good. This is and the next one over is properties. So I also have a little quick access properties. This is definitely a more robust properties, but I love this little function right here, match properties. So this is super powerful, and I use the heck out of this. So I love it that it's kind of front and center here, match properties. What it's going to do is if you drew something that is on the wrong layer per se, or even the wrong line type, or the wrong There's a lot of different things. Match properties totally matches properties. So it'll match layers, it'll match the type of line. It'll pretty much match all these properties of this. So if I choose this thing, these are its properties. I can use it, and I mostly use match properties for like kind of pushing to layers, but it has other functions as well. So in this case, I'm going to use it for pushing it to another layer. And when you match properties, I'm going to select it, match properties. Then I'm going to what it says on my command line, select source object. So it's asking you to pick which one do you want to your matching properties. What is your source or your baseline? And mine is like what I really want is like I wanted that circle to be a visible line, visible object layer. So I'm going to say, well, I wanted this to be on visible object. So I'm going to choose something that's on the visible object layer properties, and that's maybe this circle. So that's my source object. Now it switches to the match properties on the command line says select destination objects. So it's like which objects do we want to like imply these properties onto? And it's like the next selection is what I want to change. So you can see even as I highlight over it, it's changing. So I'm going to say I want to match these properties. And I could sit there and select other things. It's always going to use this as the source. And so I'm just going to say right click or press enter, and it pushed it to that other layer. So match properties kind of works like pushing it to a layer, but it has some things that it'll also take its line type scale and its line type and a bunch of other things. So I have to be careful using that. It's not the exact same as pushing it to the other layer. It does do some other things, and I'll show you actually. I'll be able to demonstrate like when I would use it and when I might want to be careful using it. So let's say the next step is to put center lines on these, or I'm going to use that center mark function. And so the center mark function is on the annotate tab, and there's center mark. I'm going to make sure I'm on the center layer first. So back here to the center layer. Then I'm going to move over to the center mark. And let's just do this one. Just select that. Sweet, it's on. And all I needed to do is to push it to an ASME standard, which is going over here to the properties panel and saying these are 0.25. All of the extensions in this case are going to be 0.25. And now I've kind of standardized this thing as ASME standard kind of center mark. I don't see the separation of the line here. Like I don't see the dash line like a center line should be. So just hold off on that for a minute. But it will be something that I can adjust. Now let's say I needed another center mark. And in this case, it's this bigger one. So I don't think I'm going to copy this one over. It would be for the smaller hole. So I think I'll just make a new center mark on this one. That way it'll extend past there. Excellent. And then I can select it and change, I can change its extensions to 0.25. So I just changed all those. And really this is a done drawing now that we need to do. I could do my best to just double check my whole dimensions, right? I can make sure that's 3 inches over and an inch and a half up on that hole. Over here, I'm going to make sure that it's like 2.5 inches up and 1 inch over. That looks good. The diameter looks correct. Maybe does it pull me out with some diameters? I don't know if it does on this. I can check diameters here though. Select that. Oh yeah, that's a 1 and a 2. 2 inch diameter, 1 inch diameter. Sorry, that's not that one. This one. Oh, I think I have to maybe select it again. Yeah, I'm happy with all the dimensions. Maybe I'll check the last diameter. Looks correct. I did want to show you how match properties is different. Here's I think what will happen here is if I choose like say beyond just pushing it to layer, it'll also accept maybe its size. So let me see if I match properties. I want to see this actually go wrong for me. So let's see what will happen. If I use match properties and I thought, here's my source object, and I actually want this one, I'm thinking it's going to be, I'm going to choose this one. I think it's going to shrink down in size. Is that correct? Maybe not. Maybe that's actually, I was wondering if that was going to make it a smaller cross, but it won't. It technically it is like matching its properties. It's just that it's going to be I was wondering if it's going to de decrease the size, but it won't. But what it will do is if I hadn't changed this, sorry, I'm putting this back to its default size. That's considered a property of that one, right? And let's say I had spent the time making this one to be the ASME standard 0.25 extension past the feature. But then I had done this one, and then for some reason, maybe I was like matching properties and I accidentally like picked match properties and I picked this one and then I picked this one. You can see that it will, those are properties that it will imply on that. So it actually shortened my extension back to what this one was. So beyond just pushing it to a layer, whereas if I would have pushed that just to a layer if it was wrong, it wouldn't have like changed the properties of that. So you just have to be careful. So long story short is match properties is not the same as just pushing it to another layer. It is picking up other properties that are in, yeah, and it's overriding those. So that would be what I'd want to do here. But the vice versa, I can actually do the dirty work, or I should say the ASME work on this to make this one right. Yes. But then I can use that function of only doing that one time, and then I can use match properties. And if I had a bunch of like if I had a part that had a bunch of holes in it and I had placed center marks on them and I had just changed one, then I can come back and say, well, let's match the properties of this and change all of my center marks and just keep clicking them all over and I could change them and use so it's a fast way to do like things like that I just added those extensions to it just by matching its properties. So okay, I wanted to focus on that because it's just a handy thing to use. And it's kind of like as I'm working left to right across my ribbon menu and my home one being my primary one, that's just one more thing we wanted to learn here. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my construction layer because I just kind of did the work with it. Maybe now I don't want to see it anymore, but I don't want to just delete this stuff. Just turn it off. And then I'm going to jump over to my page. I'm going to look at this. So like I said, in my model space, I can say that, well, these are center marks and my center line should be like short and dash. And I do have some breakup around the bullseye here, but really I'd like this to show as like a line and a segment and a line. So, but I want to look at it on paper first. So I'm going to go over to my paper and it's not centered. So the first thing I'm going to do is maybe while I'm out here, I might resize my viewport to just fit here. Um, I mean, on my template, I could drag this out and just have this thing set up, but as the full size of my drawing area. But for whatever reason, I'm not. I'm just leaving my viewport that's a little bit undersized, and that's okay because it's not often that your viewport is just set to be like the entire size of your sheet. It's more often that you're putting multiple things on here and you have these individual viewports that you're actually usually your viewport's only showing the minimum data on that part that it needs to show because then you're leaving space for something else to be put in here with through another viewport. So we haven't done that yet and we actually don't do that for a little while. So don't get misunderstood that your viewport always should just be expanded to be uh the full area of drawing that's available. It's like actually your viewports are really going to be sized to be the smallest to show that area of that model. And then if I need more space on my drawing for another part, I have it. I don't have to have these overlapping viewports necessarily. So anyway, we'll dive into that in a little bit later, but I want to jump into the viewport here. So I got my navigation wheel. It shows me I'm in there. Now I should be able to unlock it. And then I should be able to scroll to fit this, pan it over, find out where I can fit. I just click my mouse wheel to hold and pan. The drawing instructions say to draw these at 1:1, essentially. So I'm drawing them 1:1 in model space, but they're going to fit on our paper in full scale, essentially full size. This fits easily. And then I just want to center it. Can just roughly center it. Bam, like that. That's good enough. Usually the way my objects fit in my viewports, I generally am just kind of eyeballing it, centering it, making sure that the scale didn't change on me though while I did that, and then lock it down. Now I can't mess it up. And now I get a look at like technically because it's 1:1 drawn and I'm 1:1 scale, really the crosshairs look about the same as they did, but I can change that. So let me show you how to change what we call line type scale. So I'm in the viewport here so I can select these items here. What they have is on their properties panel, they have their layer they're on, the line type they are, and right underneath line type is this little line type scale. And the default of every line type in here is always going to be one. Whenever you draw it, it's always going to be one. This is a property though, so if I use that match properties thing, this is additionally going to be factored into that matching properties. So uh, the line type scale is just it's what allows you to uh, change whether how fine or how coarse these line types look. And in some case, so this is what I would say is when I look at my center lines here, I would say they're kind of coarse. I don't see the breakup of the line. It's like they're set like too coarse. I need them to be a finer representation of that type of line. I should see it break up and be like dashed and long and dashed and long. And all I'm really seeing is a bullseye. So if I want to refine this just a little bit, I can change the line type scale. So if I choose this one, the larger the number is the coarser the line type is, and the finer the number is, or the smaller the number is, the finer it is. So I'm just going to divide this in half. So maybe I'm going to say 0.5, like half is like twice as fine of a scale. Let me just enter this and see what it looks like. Yeah. So just with one little adjustment here, on the line type scale, I'm able to kind of get that separation of line type that I'm looking for. That now looks more like a center line than it does just this kind of like, I don't see the breakup, right? I like this way better. So once I've done one and I've learned about match properties, I could do that now. I could say match properties of this one and then select my destination as this one. And now they both have a line type scale of 0.5 and they extend 0.25 inches past their features. And this to me, I'm happy with. I always wait and do my line type scale adjustments at the very end. Like like on a normal object, I might have multiple views. I might have a bunch of dimensioning going on. I will have like brought into my paper and adjusted my viewport to show everything. And in order to show everything, I may have had to make an adjustment to the actual scale. Like say 1-to-1 didn't fit. I maybe would have had to adjust the size to fit on my paper. So I do all that first, and then at the very end, before I kind of make my PDF, I just take one last look at my lines and I say, is it showing how I want it to show on a PDF? Are my center lines like broken up to where they show as like center line types? Are my hidden lines showing right? Like I just take a one last look and then I adjust their line type scales if needed. So I tend not to make that adjustment until after I'm happy with how things fit on my drawing because a lot of the times to make things fit on the drawing, we have to do something beyond 1-to-1 and make it actually fit on the paper. And then I take another look at the line and then I apply that line type scale. If I do it in the reverse order and like adjust my line type scale and then decide I need to actually scale my part bigger or smaller, that it's like a scale on a scale is what you're doing. It's like you're scaling the drawing to fit, and then now that scale is being applied to the line type scale. And you'll see this. I'm sure you'll forget to do this every once in a while, and you'll adjust the line type scale too soon, and then it will kind of apply a scale on a scale and you'll get like a really, really fine line or you get like a really, really coarse line. And so you just got to watch for that. And you can always adjust it back. Always remember that the default is 0. So you can always go back to 0 and reevaluate it and see if it's good or if I need to adjust it. So, long story short of that is adjust line type scale last after your drawings are fit and most of your details are done. And it's kind of one of those like finished things I do before I send to print or make my PDF. So right now I'm ready to make my PDF. So let's do it. Control P. Let's take a preview. Nope. I didn't name the name, so I caught it this time around. I needed to change the name. But I love how this is looking. It's pretty well centered. Line type scales look good, object lines, object visible lines, and a couple of center lines, and that's it. So let's go ahead and just I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to make it yet. Jump out here to the outside and jump into this, double click, and then modify this into be uh, CAD 1108 base plate. My date is the 9th. Got it. That's good. I can probably save this now. Yeah, save it. Now I'll do a control P and preview that. Ah, this looks better. Correct name, new date. It's got my name. This is it. So I'm going to save. So now when I exit out of this, it wants to know if I want to create that PDF. I'd say yes. Okay, create it. It's going to take on that name. I might just get rid of the tabular name that it's loading. Base plate and class is what it is. That'll match my drawing name. So I'll have a PDF and a drawing that their names perfectly match. Easy to identify that that is the PDF that goes with that drawing. So go ahead and save it. That's a done deal. It probably opened up a PDF browser maybe somewhere. Mine might be. Yeah, it's this one. Sorry. That one. It looks the same as the one I was using. Oh no, that was my one with my dimensions. So that's it. Yeah. So I'm going to upload this file, PDF, and upload the drawing file, just like this. Yeah. Make sure you do the job to lock down your viewports, right? When I open your drawing, I always check that. I'm always like, I jump in and I jump in your paper space and I look to see if I can scroll really fast and if you've locked it down or not. So it's just good, like good drafting practice is lock your viewports. Okay. This one's done. Let's do the next one.